any better than this. And on today's video, we're going to be talking about how valuable are you really? And there's my dog. He thinks he's extremely valuable. So what would it be like for you to tap into how valuable you really are? And in today's society, we're actually not programmed to think that we're valuable at all. And if you did come from a family where you thought that you were valuable, and you know, they really helped you tap into your own awareness about how valuable you are on the planet, then congratulations. You're one of the few. If this is the first time you see my face, my name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and I'm an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. And so what that means is I ask questions to help you come to the awareness that you actually know what it is to be you on this planet. And so sometimes we're actually tapping into so many other people that it's difficult to be us. And so if you've noticed that, like you're like, oh, I feel like crap today, it might not actually be you who feels like crap. So one of the Access Consciousness tools is 98%, maybe up to 98% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions aren't even ours. And so if you're one of those kind of people that calls people before they call you, and they're like, oh my God, I was just going to call you, that may be you tapping into your awareness, your psychic SpongeBob Wi-Fi. And so if you're not feeling all that valuable, who does that really belong to? So are you tapping into the collective consciousness of people who aren't feeling valuable? And so if that feels like something that you might be doing, I'm going to have some tools here that you can actually tap into. You're going to want to stay to the end of this Facebook Live because I do actually have 2 invitations for you to step into knowing more. Normally my sessions are $500 each, and I do have an opportunity for you to be facilitated live for free. So how does it get any better than that? And so if you're just joining me on the live, we're going to be talking about how to tap into more value, the actual value of you. Good morning. I've got Manjeet and Marilyn Ann and Jane. We've got 6 people on. Who are they? Oh, I don't know. Anyways, come and say hello. Post in the comments if you have any questions about tapping into how valuable you are. Yeah, so just tap into that. I'm going to chit chat. So I had an interesting story today. So I took my son to the library here where I live, and in our very modern and interesting family, I don't actually live with my kids full time. They live with me in the summers and on holidays, and during the normal school year they live with their dad. And so, and then also I'm remarried, and so I have a different name than my kids. And so we were trying to get my son a library card, and so he went into the library and he had his passport with him, which is a government issued photo ID. And the library wanted to make it so very significant that he didn't have ID that had his address on it. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. We got Patricia, we got Trina, we got Mariana, hello, hello. And yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I'll help you. So I went to, you know, get a library card with him. And so we got up to the counter and they were like, oh, well, I'm going to have a supervisor look at this because your name and your son's name are not the same name. I thought, okay, my gosh, it's like breaking into the Pentagon to get a library card from this town. And so I noticed that my, like my normal, like happy-go-lucky sense of self was just all of a sudden, like I had switched from, you know, just like, okay, well, let's get a library card to like, fuck you. Like, what the fuck's your problem? Can't my kid have a library card? And so one of the tools that I would like you to have a look at, and this is to go with the valuable theme, is when you go from straight, like, you know, if you go from like 0 to like 200 kilometers an hour with feeling like angry and frustrated with people, there's usually a lie attached. And so just have a look at that. And so, you know, if you're around people and you're very, very frustrated, usually there's a lie attached. And so one of the tools that you can use is what is the lie here, spoken or unspoken? And so you ask that out loud to yourself. I mean, you might have to go into the bathroom so you don't sound like a crazy lady talking to yourself. But just go in there and say, hey, what's the lie here, spoken or unspoken? And so in the case of my son trying to get the library card, the lie was that the lady really had to follow the regulations, and that there was a regulation to do with parents whose last names don't match their kids' names. It's like, Jesus, how many second marriages are there where we live, where the mom's last name doesn't match the name of her kids? So the lie was that she was making us go through hoops and jump over hurdles that we actually didn't need to go through. And so one of the frustrations that can happen in our world is feeling frustrated because we don't feel valued by the people that are around us. And so if that's in your work, or with your family relationships, with your spouse, with your friends, with your community, like if you're around people and you're like, you don't fucking see me, you don't fucking get me, and you just like feel so frustrated that you just want to punch them in the face. So if that's really happening for you, then what is the lie here, spoken or unspoken? And so tap into that. You can probably type that into the comments, what you figure out what your lie is. And so your lie is going to be different from my lie about value. And I remember, so many times in my life being very frustrated with the relationships, that the people didn't value me, that they took advantage of me, that they treated me like crap. And so the lie was that I had no choice. And so if you feel like you have no choice, then your frustration level goes up, and it goes up, and it goes up, and it goes up until you actually explode and you make that choice. And so if you feel that, I always joke, I talk about God and the universe interchangeably. And so I always say, okay, well, God's got his foot on the eject button right now. Like, I can't stay in this relationship with this person, or with this business, or, with this client or whatever, because the way that they talk to me is triggering me and I can't deal with it. So you always do have a choice. And, that's something that I would really love for you to step into, is what your choice is. And, as for valuing you and feeling valuable by the universe, I've got some questions to ask you. And so sit with these questions. So, is there somebody else who has the same life experience as you? Yes or no? No. So that might be valuable. Have a look at that. And so just sit with that in your body. Put your hands on your body. Maybe just give your body a little hug. You can say, hey, body, nobody has the same life experience as we do. Isn't that amazing? I just love you. And just tap into that. And then, has anybody had the same courses and certifications, or gone through the same sort of school street smarts as you? Yes or no? No. And then, do they have the same people in their team as you do? Yes or no? Probably no. And so just feel that in your body. Just sort of drop right into your body, maybe into where your solar plexus is, and just sort of feel that. And so if you weren't judging you, if you weren't putting up a big wall or a boundary in between you and how valuable you truly are, what could happen then? Maybe you could actually feel more value for you. And so it's one of those things. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So if you value you, then what can come into your life? And I'm here to tell you, the minute you are starting to value you, the more experiences that you can have that validate that experience of valuing you, of actually loving you, of, adding things to your life that add to your experience of being valued. When you have a look at, do you value you by having enough money around you, to be able to choose the experiences that add to your life? And if you don't, then congratulations, you're probably in the norm. Especially in North America, we do carry a ton of debt. We overextend ourselves. And so if you have done that, then great. Would you be willing? One of my facilitators said that she used to call it her student loan. And so I'm pretty sure she's paid off her student loan now. But would you be willing to call that money a past expenditure or a student loan, and for it not to be a debit off of the value of you? For it to not mean a whole lot about you. If you decided to take that money and amortize it over 5 years, what would the payments be? And, if you took a loan and, actually took your lumps and paid that off, would that help the value of you? And, so tap into that. Is it a yes? Is it a no? There's no right answer. And then have a look at your relationships around you. Are you allowing people to tell you what you're worth by how they talk to you, how they treat you, whether you're included or not? Just have a look at that. And if it's not, then what choices can you make? Are those people essential people in your life, or do you always have a choice of who is around you? And, some people, I remember ages ago, being facilitated by Gary Douglas, and he said, well, you always have choice. And I remember thinking, well, you're a millionaire. Of course you have choices. And, I'm not a millionaire, or at least I wasn't at that time. My choices were different than his choices. And now I actually get the value of being able to make an infinite choice. And, so have a look at that. What people are you choosing to have around you that you actually don't have to choose to have around you? And if you're willing to step into the potency of you, how can you show those people how it is to have a relationship with you? Are you willing to be seen as a bitch? This is something that I've probably been willing to have or be or do more recently than not. I did have a whole lot of points of view about being nice, about being popular, about being well received. And what that does is, if you imagine in your life that there's little fences around you. So if I have to be nice, then that's a fence around me. Like I can't go beyond having to be nice. And, if I have to be well received, then there's another little fence around me that I can't go beyond. And if I have to be popular, then there's another 6 or 8 fences. And then have a look at that. So who gets to decide whether I'm nice? Is that me or is that someone else? And so have a look at it for yourself. When somebody says that you're a bitch or you're not nice, is that true? It's their perception, and so you actually don't have to buy into their perception. And so when you don't have to buy into other people's perceptions of you, how much more value can you feel for yourself when you're actually honoring you by making sure that you are being looked after in every circumstance? And so when we have to be nice, we're waiting for other people to tell us that we're nice. And so how fun is that? It can be, but it doesn't have to be you waiting for other people to tell you that you're nice. What if you're willing to be you in any circumstance? Just before I got on here, I had told my family specifically that at 3 o'clock I wanted to go live. And so, of course, they all convened on the room that I wanted to go live in, and we're like crashing around and, making lunches and, grabbing stuff. And I'm like, look, you guys, I've made a promise to people that I was going to be live at 3 o'clock today. And so you're here screwing up my promise. And so I had to be a complete bitch to get them out of this room that I was planning on going live in. Otherwise, they just weren't going to leave. So thinking of your business, right? So if it's your business to do what it is that you do in the world, and there's someone that's getting in the way of you having a relationship with your clients, or if there's someone getting in the way of you doing business the way that you want to do business, or having a life that you want to have, then are you willing to be a bitch and say, get the fuck out of here? I didn't say get the fuck out of here to my kids, but it was like that was the energy. Like, you need to get out now because I'm going live in this room, and I already gave you 3 hours warning that that's what was going to happen. So being in integrity with yourself is something that's super key. And, just having a look at that, what is being in integrity with yourself? Usually we look at what is being in integrity with other people. And so we're like, oh, we need to be in integrity with other people. And I'm here to remind you that the best way to be in integrity is with yourself. And so just tap into that. So how valuable would you feel if you were in integrity with you? And part of that is like if you make a promise to yourself, like you're going to go on Facebook Live, or you're going to give yourself a vacation this year, or you're going to put some money in your having account this year. In fact, I would suggest that you put money in your having account every single time stuff comes in for you, money comes in for you. Yeah, so just have a look at that. How else can you value yourself? There's a lot of ways that you can value yourself. And so another way that you can value yourself is to trust that you actually know what it is to value yourself. You don't actually have to look at somebody like me. I mean, it's fun to be facilitated. And I found a whole lot of value in having coaches and facilitators in my life. So have a look at that. I always think that coaches have coaches. And so if you're working with coaches, then great, that's awesome. I highly recommend that. But I do recommend that you trust that you know what's good for you. And so one of the things that you can ask is truth. Do I know what's good for me? Yes or no? And just sit there, put your hand on your body. Don't go all intellectual. Make sure that your energy's down in your body so you can get that sense. And it's like, okay, cool. If I was being me and making this choice for me, what would I choose? And so the more of those you do, the more you build up your own internal integrity. And part of that really helps with how valuable you feel. And so when you go out in the world and you're feeling valuable, then what happens is people can see the value of you because you're not actually proving it. You're not like, hey, notice me, I'm valuable. You're just like, you just be valuable. And then people, actually leave the room when you tell them to leave the room. Yeah, so anything that doesn't allow you to feel as valuable as you truly be, would you be willing to just let it go? And what if it's not even yours? What if you could just send it back to whoever that came from and you just picked it up on the Wi-Fi? What if you could just send it back? So I have 2 invites for you. One is we go live weekly in my Facebook group called The Audacious Ask. And that's a free group for you to join. Every Monday we go live at 3 o'clock Pacific. And for the first 5 people on the call, they get live facilitation on what their audacious asks are. And so that's propelling them forward in the universe. And so they're, this is the thing that I want to create, Jennifer. And so they get live facilitation there. And like I said earlier, normally my rates are $500 a session. And so this is a pretty good value for you. And then the second thing I would love to invite you to is I have a gift for you called Unlocking You, and it's a 90-minute class complete with all of the backups. So there's a video, there's an audio, and then there's clearings and PDFs. And so if you go to bit.ly/unlockingyou, and so that's unlocking you from all of the things that might be stopping you, if that's easy for me to say, from valuing you with money. And so money is one of the things that I love to facilitate on. I'm an Access Consciousness certified Right Riches for You facilitator as well. And so money is one of the ways that we honor ourselves. And, so what would it be like for you to have more money in your life?